how does he fit into that system of Mike Leach and that air raid offense?
I just listen. KJ Costello is a really good football player, and I'm more just excited to see this system and he go into the SEC with Mike Leach and compete. I totally agree with Joel. Georgia, the roster, the fact that Jamie Newman or JT Daniels, they have a better shot of leading their team to a playoff than Mississippi State. I understand that. But when I combine KJ Costello, his skill set, his game, and this system, this kid is going to have a massive year. Rob, you mentioned the numbers of these quarterbacks that come from Mike Leach a few minutes ago. I mean, they're astronomical. This kid 2 years ago was an all Pac-12 quarterback. He threw for 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns. He can run the football. He's a big dude, athletic. And I'm excited. I think we all are excited and entertained to see what Mike Leach can do in the SEC. And I think he's got a great signal caller in KJ Costello leading that football team. And then the second part of that question, I think just for transfers, is just the lack of reps that you don't get on the field, especially in an air raid attack where there's a lot of concepts and a lot of verbiage. But KJ Costello, you talk about maturity. He's a mature player. He's been around college football for a while. He's got a lot of experience. I think he'll fit in really nicely for the Bulldogs and in the SEC.
How many yards do you think Reggie could throw for if he was the quarterback in Leach's air raid system?
Listen, I don't know how good Reg. How many balls did you throw in college? You threw a couple halfback passes.
I threw a couple halfback passes. I had a touchdown, didn't I? Yeah, I had a touchdown.
You know what they did? They took Reggie out and put in Desmond Reed to throw the halfback.
You know what it was? No. You know what it was? I was scoring too many touchdowns, man. They had to give somebody else some shine. That's what it was.
I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you how many yards he would throw for. Over 3,500. Because anybody with a pulse throws for over 3,500 yards in that offense. Just go look through the history, man. It doesn't matter. I remember, I was at Colorado and we played against Cliff Kingsbury. And a lot of us at the time thought to ourselves, hey, this new coach at Texas Tech, Mike Leach, remember he was the coordinator at Oklahoma in 99. He came from Kentucky. Bob Stoops hired him in their first year at Oklahoma in 99. Then he left. And he wasn't a part of that 2000 national championship team at Oklahoma with Josh Heupel as the quarterback. He had gone and gotten the head job at Texas Tech. He has Cliff Kingsbury for the first couple of years. A lot of people thought it wasn't the system, that it was actually Cliff Kingsbury. Then all of a sudden it was B.J. Simmons, Seth Dagey, Graham Harrell. It didn't matter. You run a guy out there, he throws for 4,500 yards, and I was the most jealous guy in the room because all I
let me throw this at you, Joel. There's one common denominator that you're not mentioning. They don't play in the SEC. Now they are. And I just got a lot of respect for those defenses in the SEC. So Mike Leach is a dear friend, and I'm anxious to see this.
Yeah,
he doesn't have an offensive line in front of him. That quarterback's going to get tattooed like he's never been tattooed before. This is not, all due respect to the Pac-12 and everywhere else, the Big 12. You're in the SEC where defense is a premium. There's a lot of NFL draft picks that run really, really fast. They're going to be making millions of dollars. Trying to get that quarterback. So I'm not buying a 4,500 yards.
Rebut that respectfully because here's why. Because the Big 12 in the early 2000s was the league of defense with the Tommy Harrises of the world and Teddy Lehmans of the world at Oklahoma, and he was having success there. Texas had great defenses as well. And remember, he cut his teeth with Hal Mumme at Kentucky against the defensive coordinator at Florida and Bob Stoops, who was winning a national championship under Steve Spurrier, the head coach. It was that interaction. Stoops knew he had the better players, the better athletes, like you're suggesting, and he couldn't stop the Kentucky offense with Tim Couch, which is the reason he went and hired Mike Leach to Oklahoma as his offensive coordinator. So I do think that you're right. He's going to see faster, but this is an offense that in its genesis was invented in order to marginalize the field, right? And take a team that had great athletes and faster athletes and take that advantage away for them by doing two things. One, you combine the BYU system of throwing the football down the field from the mid-'80s, and then you combine that with the triple option principles of it doesn't matter who touches the football. So I do think it's going to work, but one caveat, Coach, he won't win a division because he's yet to do that in his career, and he's certainly not going to do it at Mississippi State. So to the point that he's not going to win at the top end of the SEC, you're absolutely right. but I think that we would be naive to think that he's not going to put up massive numbers, because he's done it in regardless of what conference, dating all the way back to the SEC when they were playing, Florida teams that were winning the national championship.
Here's one thing I can guarantee in the SEC. Every defensive coordinator in the SEC is waiting for those schedules to be verified, and they have their fingers crossed saying, please don't let Mississippi State be there, because it is going to be an atrocious week or 2 weeks of preparation dealing with Mike Leach and that offense. Real quick, to wrap up Reggie as a quarterback. Reggie, 3 pass attempts, 1 touchdown. Who did you throw that touchdown to? Matt, you or Reggie? Anybody can answer this one.
Was it Dwayne Jarrett?
Bam! Bang! Good job, Reg.
DJ. Yes, sir.
Love it.
Download the all-new Fox Sports app now. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here. College football on Fox.